Failed.
Hello and welcome to this month's Q&A hangout thing with me and Quinns called Ghosts.
Do you remember
with Funwraith.
I'm laughing because I just remembered
last time we didn't have the microphone plugged in.
No, I was laughing because last time the live hangout kept crashing because I was clicking the big button labeled stop broadcast.
Oh god, yeah, you
thought it was a technical error.
Next question, stop broadcast. That was classic.
And you were like, why is my beautiful hangout not working?
This is the part of the thing where no one's actually watching. This is let's see.
Yep, I showed it to the camera.
It's got a big M on it, which is
26 viewers.
Stands for me.
This is what happens when we broadcast on time.
Yeah, we actually on time managed to just eat a curry really quickly. And get back to it.
Sometimes we've had like a beer because we've been filming. We haven't done filming today. We relaunched shutupandsitdown.com, so we've been doing a lot of technical stuff. So we're just drunk on
life.
Cauliflower mostly.
Not a shower. I'm not having a shower. We're not streaming that. Jesus, I'm getting a shadow from this.
I liked it. It's like a sort of tropical hutch.
Yeah, it made it look like they had a big plant. I don't have a big plant.
R2.2 says, let's get to work answering these questions.
It's not really a question, but
R2.2 says, hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Or as they say in France, hello.
Hello.
Simon Evans says, you remembered the mic this time.
Yeah, I remember. It was a shame. I was doing a fun little song or something. I don't know. Whatever I was doing, it's gone forever. It's lost.
Well,
like tears in a rain.
That shouldn't make you sad because, like in history times,
like
everything anyone did was lost.
Like tears in Quiche Lorraine. One of these days, all of these things will be ruined, like tears in Quiche Lorraine. That's quite good. I like that. I like my own joke.
You're just crying into your quiche.
Yeah.
There used to be, I wonder if it still exists, a website called cryingwhileeating.com.
Yeah, I think that's just a way of life, isn't it?
It's very satisfying to watch people like sobbing and eating ice cream. Or
usually whilst drinking white wine as well.
Yeah, right.
On a Friday.
We're very in sync today.
Yeah, we are. We just done a really good episode of Dark Souls. We talked about Duskers for about half an hour, 40
and then
minutes.
Talked about Crawl, which we agree on.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about Crawl.
Which we don't agree on.
Don't agree
That's
on.
Fine.
It's fine.
And then we had a curry. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's been a great week. Obviously, Shut Up and Sit Down, we just relaunched. It's been a hell of a lot of work. We've still got work on that. We're in the process of moving over loads of the videos to YouTube, which is good because people for years have been saying, please put them on YouTube. We're going to do that. But obviously, that's loads of work as well. So it might have seemed, I'd just say actually at the start, might have seemed like in the past month, it's been pretty quiet on Cool Ghost. That's because it has, through a combination of being under the weather and having this.
It's not that quiet.
Insubstantial. No, it's not been that quiet, but it's been quieter than usual.
We're also in a sort of period between Let's Plays and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's because I've been working on lots of things for a while and nothing's actually come to fruition yet. But things are going to happen.
You got Stellaris, you got Bloodborne Diaries.
Yeah, it's all like going away. I'm all doing it. But
we think we've pretty much settled on Duskers for our next Let's Play series.
Yes, we have.
Because we have an idea of a fun format that I can take as well.
Yeah, taking it in turns to do missions. Which is really...
It will be the first time that both of us are good at a game.
Yeah, but I think it'll be interesting because I think we'll play it in a different way and it'll be that thing of being like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing with my drone?
Yeah.
It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's a pretty perfect setting and a pretty perfect setup. Let's do a question.
Let's do a question. There's some incredibly irreverent...
Do you want me to do the clicking? I promise I'll do it right.
Yeah. Tom Kitchen says, do these annotations appear on YouTube? Like, cause I always be sure to click and then ask.
Not on YouTube, but if you are watching this back on YouTube, then you can go and actually like click a thing to watch it as a hangout. So there is a way to do it. I think it's like an annotation on the video, which means you can go and watch it back as if it was like the people are watching it now, and then you see the questions
pop up. Yeah. Got it. Tom Kitchen asks, what's your favorite pizza topping? I've spent this evening making homemade pizza, and I'm looking for cool suggestions.
That's a good question. I don't know if it's my favorite. I wouldn't have it all the time, but I'm really fond of capers and anchovies. And actually, I had a pizza when I was really young, which was like anchovies and capers and tuna. And
You're
it was
so
like,
grown up.
Oh.
You're so grown up.
And I never would have eaten that. It's when I worked at Zzz's, and it was a pizza that somebody had sent back without because it was a wrong order or something. They hadn't touched it, and I was like, I'll try a bit. And it was really fishy and salty, and I was like, whoa! I never would have ordered this, but now I'm very into my olives, fish, capers.
How old are you?
Whoa, I must have been about 16, 17.
Yeah, that's the time when you're meant to be eating like extra cheese, pepperoni.
Well, we were only allowed to like have, I think it was just like all you're allowed was a cheese pizza. or maybe like pepperoni, and that was it. Because obviously staff, they want to keep it up. Apparently it's worse now than ever. Apparently I've read a thing recently as easy as now you're allowed like a plain pizza or spaghetti. But it was already limited at that point anyway. So when somebody came through with a pizza being like, oh, this is fair game because the customer didn't want it, you'd be like, I'll have that. I think it had tuna, olives, capers, anchovies, and an egg on it. It had like a... So that was a big day for me because it taught me two things. One, fish on pizza, actually cool. And two, crack an egg on a pizza before you put it in the oven. Wham! You're having a party in your mouth. And everyone always, when you say crack an egg onto a pizza before you put it in the oven, people go like, look at you to go, what is wrong with you? But what is wrong with those people is they haven't lived. What's your favourite? Ham.
No. I'm trying to eat those meats. There's nothing fun about my answer to this question. I was going to say that, hey, you know what? If you want to be like Italian or like really bring out the flavors, let's talk about chopping up some fresh basil and putting it on the pizza after it comes out the oven. Yeah, let's talk about that going well with the tomato sauce and the cheese. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about herbs.
Let's take this up to Waitrose level conversation.
Okay, we're done.
No, you're right though.
Ross M says, hello, Ross. Thank you so much for donating. God.
It's the rhinoceros.
Oh, yeah.
I always forget that, and I always remember.
I am so bad with names.
I'm Ross's best friend.
I'm not.
And you're not.
I admit that. Whether digital or real, what makes a room escape game good? Please, please demonstrate by attempting to escape from this very room.
It's just a door. I mean, it's really easy. The only thing that could stop me escaping from this room would be Quinn's. And that's like not digital. That's all I'm saying about that. It's very much physical.
I tell you what, I am very bored by digital room escape games. I'm not really into point and clicks or adventure games or anything like that. The Room on iPad, my fiance played, and I would watch it over her shoulder and make fun of it.
I did an actual room escape thing with my brother on the weekend in Manchester. It was called Breakout Manchester. They have like a bunch of rooms of different difficulties. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I did an incredible one in London that's ending very soon, which if you live in London you have to go to if you've got like 3-4 friends to go with. It is called the Oubliette Society.
You're the one that knows, not me.
God damn it.
I might have to check this out myself.
Oh, you really should. It's closing real soon. Oubliette Brixton. Yep, Googling Oubliette Brixton will...
if you know how to spell Oubliette. Enter the Oubliette.
It's by a friend of mine who's done a lot of room escape games. She was trying to bring like an actual like super high quality one to London. It's amazing, and it's themed around like Brazil or 1984, where you're in an office and there's like all this paperwork and weird arcane shit.
Yeah, because the one I did was like, it was the theming wise was a little bit weak in terms of like the setup, and it kind of let it down on the kind of world building in terms of like
stuff.
Yeah, like crap Photoshop. It was kind of a military based thing, and they had like an actual risk board on the table to be like the world map, and it's like, this is the risk board. But it was kind of shonky, and it was basically it was mainly just going around having shitloads of locks that were either combination locks or key locks, and it was basically a bit Crystal Maze of being like, I found a key, which lock does it go into? I found a 4-digit code.
It's so naff. Like
it was, but it was quite exciting.
No, the format's great. It's really good. It
could have been way better though.
The thing that surprises me is like how quickly room escape games have come from this like thing that started in Japan of people being like, we're going to make incredible puzzles, and loads of those people work today.
Yeah.
But also like almost like within the same year, we've got good room escape games. We've got people who are just doing like real, like, oh, I could design one of them, like real cash sort of focused rather than design focused sort of rooms.
Yes.
So I think what makes a good room escape game good is just good reviews.
I mean,
look for reviews that are good, because that will be a good sign.
Yeah.
That was a terribly boring answer.
No, I don't think he's looking for like. I think he's looking more about the mechanics rather than trying to find one. And well, I think good puzzles. That's the thing. Like,
I did do an interview with Ming, who made this Oubliette room escape game, and the thing that I encountered is it's almost impossible to cover these things interestingly in the way that I like to do, because you can't talk about anything. Like, it's the most spoiler-ridden thing in the world. So I was initially really interested. Then when I realized how little I could say about room escapes, I was just like, I'm out. Like,
the one I saw I could say a lot, but not without spoiling it. It was more that it was just like shitloads of tiny puzzles rather than like big ones.
I mean, there's lots of stuff that you can.
And it was fun in a Crystal Maze way. That's the thing. It was like you were frantically just constantly running around doing stuff, but it was like kind of headless chicken stuff, which was fun. But yeah. Leo Zorn has asked a weird question. Thanks, Leo. What is the body part of your colleague you envy the most?
People are getting really good at asking us
I
unsettling
don't know.
questions.
Now I just gotta start checking you out.
Hey, buddy, I've got good shins, but then so do you. We're similar, like body types.
Yeah.
I've got broad shoulders.
We've both got
You've both got broad shoulders.
I think you've got
good.
I think you've got broader shoulders than I have. I've got good shoulder muscles, but your shoulders are like quite
They're
substantial.
like a shelf.
Yeah, you literally could balance things. Like, yeah, I'll have his shoulders.
I'll have his hair. Or his eyes. His fucking fox eyes that are they'll look through you.
That's terrifying.
I'll have them.
No, please.
What an awful question, Leo Zorn. Thank you so much for donating.
You're a terrible man.
I feel like
Leo.
we're full of food and we've been low energy, and let's just bring it up.
Okay. Cooper Trooper asks, best game you've never played? I don't know. That's an impossible question.
That's a catchphrase I use when I'm trying to get people to play weird shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best game you've never played.
But the problem is, like, there are loads of games like that, and then some of them I play and I think, nah, it's not for me. But then it's, you just go, oh, this is
What's
great.
the best game on the N64? Because I never had an N64.
Oh, the best game on the N64.
One of the Zeldas.
Maybe. I mean, there were lots of fun little things. Like Blast Core was quite good.
Basically anything on the N64 I've not played.
Oh, there were. I mean, Mario 64 was great. You play that?
But at a friend's house.
A bit.
At a friend's house. Like, it wasn't like that I didn't want to. It's that thing of like when you go to a friend's house when you're a kid and you go, oh, you've got the thing. Can we do the thing? And they're like, oh, this whole thing.
So you probably just did that bit where you ran up the wooden bit and then you jumped on a turtle and you read the turtle around and it went da, 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 and then you maybe flew and maybe you did the King Bob-omb level where you fought King Bob-omb, but
No,
probably at that point he'd taken the controller back off you.
And we were like, oh, let's go play outside.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Playing outside was for dicks.
Playing outside with our dicks was not a thing we did. Naylor Ben.
What are some of your favorite video game soundtracks and songs? We just answered this.
Oh, we did.
And I was talking about how I'm still massively in love with the Undertale.
I still love the Bastion soundtrack and what Supergiant do. I like Transistor's soundtrack. Bastion soundtrack is just astonishing.
So better soundtrack than the game, but people disagree about that.
Hey, buddy, let's have a fight.
Let's have a fight.
No,
what do you think Transistor was really good?
No, not Transistor, Bastion.
Oh yeah, Bastion was cool.
Bastion.
We don't need to fight. Fight off.
Gets bonus marks for actually having its songs being played by people in the game. So like Bastion has, like acoustic songs with guitars, but then halfway through Bastion,
you meet the people.
You meet someone playing a song, and it's when you talk to them they stop playing. So lots of Bastion players I know, when you encounter the girl with the guitar singing, you just stand on the periphery. Like, I'm going to put myself in frame correctly. And you just kind of like listen. And then you don't
want to go near.
Like when the song finishes, you just walk up and be like, hi, who are you? Yeah, because you've never encountered another person.
Yeah, the best thing in Transistor was the hum button. Like you could just press a button where you just like
hum along to the music.
Hum along to the music.
I would agree with that. And the second best thing in Transistor is because the sword can't talk to you, but the sword has the spirit of your lover in it. But you plug the sword into... Oh, no, sorry. The protagonist can't talk. The woman can't talk. The singer can't talk, but she can hum. But she can type into terminals. And the sword is her lover. And there's a point where she just, rather than typing the actual place she needs to go into the terminal, she just types, are you okay? And the sword sees it and goes, not really.
All sorts of spoilers in there, but we're live, so we can't do anything about that. Anyway,
if people haven't played Transistor now, they're not going to play it without the kind of input.
I mean, to be honest, it's not. I think it's that good, but still, I think
it's a little way through the game.
Yeah, but
if you're playing,
the best thing about that game is the cold opening. Never mind. Leo Zorn asks, "It's done. Don't worry about it."
Well, you've made me worried now. I think I'm.
Well,
fine.
you're just. I think Quinns is a bit flippant with spoilery things. I try and be much more careful.
Here's the thing.
Maybe I'm just.
I think that if I wasn't out there in the world shitting spoilers everywhere, then no one would play anything. Like no one would play Transistor.
I think that's true.
Well,
I think it's the skill of being a good critic should be able to explain why something's good without. I know you can, but you don't. You cut corners.
I do.
You just jump in and tell people things.
No, man. I'm like anyone who plays Mario Kart knows that cutting corners is the fastest way.
But it's always you.
Winning.
When we're doing Dark Souls, it's always you I have to cut out. Nobody else does it. I always have to go, hey, cut that out.
I'm a renegade, but I get results. And the results are angry emails.
I think it's bad practice, personally.
Okay.
Because I think games aren't like timed the same way. Like games, I think what's great about one of the worst things about game at the moment is games are treated as having a shelf life, where it's like if you haven't played them in 6 months, then you're done forever. Whereas I think we need to get more into the habit of like treating games as things you can go back to at any point.
I'm with you, but we have more time to play games.
Like I haven't seen Taxi Driver, and if you just started telling me the story of Taxi Driver out of the blue, I'd be like, whoa.
But the story isn't what matters about Taxi Driver.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But you know what I mean. Like,
but like, here's the thing. Well, anyway. Like, but my point is that we have more time to play games than anybody else. But when's the last time you actually went back and played a classic from like 2-3 years ago?
I'm doing it right now. Wolfenstein.
Classic.
So there we go. What's the best personal gaming experience of this year so far?
So I would talk about Duskers, but I played it in early access last year.
Well, for me, it's probably Duskers, just because I've only just started it, and so far, it's very, very strong. There's been some good stuff this year already, though, actually. I've enjoyed a bunch of stuff, but lots of things I felt haven't really grabbed me for whatever reason. I actually really enjoyed the Bloodborne DLC. Like, at first, I didn't really warm to it, but I really got into it. So much that then when I went into Dark Souls 3, I just didn't... I've sort of stopped playing Dark Souls 3. I got to Lothric Castle.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I got to, like, the big castle, which is quite far in the game, I think. And I just sort of, like... I don't know. It like the difficulty ramped up, and I thought, okay. And I think it's like I've almost become too desensitized to the formula now. So it's this thing of being like when I meet something that's really challenging and scary, I just go, okay, this is going to take me a little while to do it. Or like, you know, if I lose 50,000 souls, I just go, all right, well, you know, you've lost that, and that's a pain, but you know, you'll get it back. Like you'll survive. Like I think because I'm so used to the rhythm of it, I play it in a way that's a bit cold. And for me, it was that kind of like heart in the chest stress of it, which made the game exciting. But I feel like now I've just done the formula so many times, I've taught myself not to be stressed whilst playing it.
It's absolutely time for that studio to try something else.
Yeah.
For me, it was probably having one of my big wins in Street Fighter V, just because, I mean, you'd hope it was my best personal gaming experience of the year because I put like 100 hours into that game. So like, if we pick the single best peak of that, then it's good. It was good. It was a good brief moment in a game that was otherwise a lot of training.
Yeah, you worked hard for that.
It's payoff. I mean, like in terms of input to output, I did not get much compared to like lots of other things, but it's still a super interesting part of.
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was like one of those projects where, like, in the first few weeks, you were super excited, and then I think it sort of dawned on you how much work it was.
I mean, that was
and how difficult it was.
That's what I want. Like, that, I mean, I listen to podcasts like that which have journeys, and I find them fascinating because you do have the emotional arc of the anchors being like, oh God, what have we, even worst idea of all time, right? Where they have to watch the same movie every week for a year. And then, you know, it's funny, it's awful. They recover, they find new ways to watch it. Then it becomes really awful. Then it becomes even more awful. And like, I love that shit.
Sort of persistence, yeah.
And I love listening back to the Contender and just hearing like all the different doors I open. I'm like, oh, I understand the game now. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, I know, I understand. No, I don't, you know.
It's good. Alone Music asks, this is an interesting question from this name. If you're feeling down and uninspired, what do you do to get out of the grumpy funk? Listening to music that makes you feel alone is a bad idea. This is a good question. I think one of the biggest problems I find when you're feeling down and uninspired and not right is you're often then already in the wrong situation to start pulling yourself out of it, because the solutions are always the same. If you're down in a grumpy funk, do some exercise. That is like, it's like a silver bullet. Like, but the problem is sometimes when you find yourself really miserable, you can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And it's just, the answer is always the same: do some exercise. So I just go climbing, I go for a run or something. Eat better, do some exercise, get some sleep, have a bath.
But like, obviously, when you get to like, and if you're in a bad way, then you can't do any of those things because you don't want to do any of those things. So if you're feeling down and uninspired, exercise. But if you're super down and uninspired, you just have to wait for it to pass.
Yeah, and that's a real fucker. Like, I've had that a few times in the past year. Like, just being like, you just kind of get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm doing exercise. I haven't had any alcohol for 2 weeks. I've had a bath. I've been getting sleep. I've been eating vegetables. And you're literally like, I am ticking all of the boxes. What is wrong with me? And it's just like your head's not in the right space. You have to wait for it to come out. And if you're somebody who's like trying to make things all the time, trying to be creative, that's really stressful because you just want to work.
Grab a hair.
What do I got?
You got a
long, weird hair. So
fans
yeah,
are gonna love that. They like taking care of you.
Like a monkey taking things off. Yeah. So yeah, just do some exercise. But the main trick, unfortunately, is just keeping it up and just keeping up exercise and healthy eating and sleeping and stuff, and you'll be fine. But Then you go out
Maybe.
for some beers and you stop doing exercise and it gets worse again. But yeah.
I had a really you can finish the question. It's fine. I had a bad night on Eurovision because there was my friend was DJing, and then I had a Eurovision party to go to, and I didn't know which one to go to, and I had that thing where you're being tugged completely with equal forces, and then I sat at home and played Darkest Dungeon for 4 hours while second screening Eurovision.
I always find Eurovision really emotional for different reasons now. I went on it last year to like live tweet it and make jokes and take the piss, and then I ended up like
Really caring.
getting really emotional about the Conchita Wurst winning. And
that wasn't last year. That was a while before.
I thought it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe 2 years. No.
Maybe I missed it last year. I don't know. But yeah, this year's was again just quite like, I don't know. It ends up being weirdly quite.
Eurovision's a big deal, man. And like I watched it with our friend. We have a friend Baki who we know, and he's a sociologist. And watching Eurovision with a Turkish sociologist who used to live in Sweden and now lives in England is like, he's the best in terms of what I like, which is him going like, oh no, this singer is interesting because in her country they believe this, and 2 years ago this happened, and I'm like,
yeah, totally. That's the thing, is like what that country feels like they're projecting in the artists they've got there. And also like just the fact that people are going, oh, like Russia for some reason complained afterwards and had a big thing on Russian news outlets. They wrote like 20 stories about Eurovision the day after about how it was all a fix and it was all political. And
I think Eurovision is the single biggest broadcast event in the world.
It is. It's huge. Like 200 million people watch it or something. But then it's this wonderful thing of it is now also incredibly political, and it's just this amazing zeitgeist because it's public vote as well. It's this fantastic way of just like almost just getting like a feel for like what the sentiments are in Europe at the moment.
Yeah.
And the fact that everyone just went like, Ukraine is the winner here, with Ukraine's political song about something, because political songs are banned, you know. So it was a song about something that happened 80 years ago. So they were like, well, it's not really political. Obviously it was. And then Russia, who were supposed to be winning it, didn't. And then Russia were furious.
Oh, Russia weren't even really in the lead.
But like their government like got really into
it. Sure, but they got. Man. But I mean, yeah.
But they were tipped to win. They weren't in the lead, but they were the hot favorite.
Did you see their song?
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it was good.
With the wings and
it was cool effects. Yeah. But I think it's a fascinating thing to watch. So that's an answer to a question that no one asked about Eurovision.
What's the matter with us? Let's go.
What's your worst experience of buyer's remorse, Paul Cosgrove? Oh, this is easy for me. Halo games. I don't do it anymore.
But he didn't ask for games specifically. So Halo games the single worst thing in terms of your whole life.
All right. Well, it probably would have been Halo Reach, I guess, or maybe Halo
Reach is the worst thing you've ever bought.
Well, no, it's more that like I kept just buying them because I thought I was kind of chasing after that experience of everyone being on Xbox Live and playing stuff together.
Right.
And then I'd like start playing it and think, actually, I don't like these games that much. But I always go and buy the new one. I guess the other example is I bought 2 copies of Phantasy Star Online Part 3 which was the card battler. I bought 2 copies because I thought it was rare. And I thought I was getting a rare, cool thing. It wasn't really that rare. So
you just had 2 copies.
I owned 2 copies for years. I've never played either of them. It was Phantasy Star.
So you still have them?
No, I think I got rid of them. I think I sold them, but not for a lot less than I bought them for. But yeah, that was just like I had them on my shelf for years, just taunting me, being like, "You've got 2 copies of that game. You've never played it. Do you want to play it?" Not really.
I'm trying to think of moments where I bought something and then just immediately regretted it, and for some reason, and I just can't think of anything except for when I was really young and just borrowed one of my parents' credit cards to get a subscription on a dirty website, and I felt very small.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That's a good name.
Lord Lockjay. Nice. Just said, I just want to thank you for the lovely community you created. Just an hour ago, the Discord has a very good discussion about gay representation in games, and at this very moment, some Funwraiths are playing Monster Hearts. That's true. I was on the Discord this morning.
Oh, like they're typing the Monster Hearts game.
Well, I don't know. If they're doing it on Skype or something, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Or maybe through Discord. Obviously, you can do chat over that. But I pop into the Discord server fairly regularly. I often just lurk, but I usually pop in like once a day. Occasionally stop and chat and join in a bit, but it's always really nice in there. Always people just talking about games and being civil and playing games together. But it was funny today. They were like, "Oh yeah, we can't come to your Q&A hangout because we're playing Monster Hearts." And it was like it was sort of this combination of being like, okay, and also like this sort of quiet pride. It's like being a mum, a dad. You know, your kids are like, "Oh no, we're not coming home for Christmas because because we got our own families.
That's awesome.
And it's like, oh, go, you're free. You're free now.
You know, it's always the case when you run.
I'm not crying.
The funny thing is, when you run a website, it always takes up all your time anyway. Like Shut Up and Sit Down or Cool Ghosts, either could take up all of our time.
Yeah.
But when you start a forum or like the Discord, then suddenly you've got this thing that could take up all your time and this other thing that could take up tens of hours a week.
Yeah.
So it's this weird thing where, like, I think my worst relationship with anything that we've created is, I'm sure the Shut Up and Sit Down forum mods are listening to this, but they have a Slack channel that they used to organize themselves. You guys used to organize yourselves, I should say, because I know that you guys are watching. But I have access. So I just show up. And in my head, I'm basically, have you seen the IT crowd?
Yes.
You know the boss from the IT crowd who talks like this? But he just shows up and stalks into a room, has no idea what's going on, no idea whether his presence is welcome, and then leaves for some equally fucking banal reason. Like, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's difficult, but no, the Discord group is great. And obviously, if you don't know, we've relaunched Shut Up and Sit Down, and the forum there now is kind of a crossover. So it has a board game area, but it also has a Cool Ghost place, so people can talk about video games.
Yeah, the video game section of the Shut Up and Sit Down forum is called Cool Ghosts. It's a shame we couldn't get both site logos at the top.
It doesn't really matter too much, though. I think there's a lot of crossover between. But yeah, if you want to have ongoing chats or trying to
if you're playing Duskers right now, there's a really great thread called Quinn's Duskers thread, because I am a shill for that game. And you can just talk about.
There's also a great thread about Fallout 2, which quickly became about Star Control, I think, which is a game I've not played.
Oh, my favorite.
But yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for donating,
Lord Lock. Donating it. Yeah, I mean, I find it crazy that we still, like, I had somebody ask me the other day saying, "Oh, well, like, what's it like with the community?" And I honestly say, like, with Cool Ghosts, we've been running the site now probably a year, maybe over a year, which is crazy. Time just flies. But I've only ever had to.
No, we haven't, because it was autumn when I.
Okay, well, it's close to a year then, but it's been almost a year, I think, which is crazy. And we've only had to I've had to delete one comment, and that's it.
Really?
Which is crazy in a year on a games website. So honestly, thank you guys, because I honestly think it's the quality of
we're not really responsible.
It's like you guys kind of keep that going, and it does kind of act as a barrier for horrible stuff.
Hot tamale.
You love that phrase.
You use it too much. I need a new one. Hot Peaches. It's Trick Dempsey. Hey, Trick. Thank you so much for donating. He's a long running supporter.
No, I know. Yeah.
Why do you use Patreon for Cool Ghosts and not Shut Up and Sit Down?
That's a really easy one. It's because, like, Cool Ghosts obviously wasn't always Cool Ghosts. It used to just be my YouTube channel, and back when I was doing that, it just seemed like a really easy way to do it. And I wasn't ever expecting the Patreon thing to take off, really. I just thought I'd do it instead of, like, supplemental freelance. I thought it'd be one of my freelance jobs. I only ever expected to get a little bit of money every month, and then I'd spend some time doing just whatever I wanted, but then in between do freelance. It ended up obviously taking off and becoming my main job, which was awesome. And then obviously we, sort of me and Quinn's worked together so much that we just sort of forged together to make Cool Ghosts, and that made loads of sense and is wicked. But then it was obviously like Shut Up and Sit Down. We already had our own crowdfunding platform. Yeah,
Shut Up and Sit Down has always used, like, more advanced tech, because there's lots of weird stuff we do on that site. And
that started before Patreon. Like, so if we'd actually, like, before people knew about Patreon anyway. So it may have been that if Patreon already existed when we were doing crowdfunding and Shut Up and Sit Down, we might have had them both on there. But as it is, the short answer is that Patreon take more of a cut. So it makes more sense to use our own system.
If you can use your own tech, then sometimes it's worth it.
Because otherwise you're just paying money to a third party.
And a third party where people have to leave your website to...
Yeah, and also, like, the weird thing is that, you never know what the deal is going to be in the long term with these things. I've always said about Patreon, like, it's a great service. It's great for me. Like, it takes away a lot of the admin and all the tech. So I don't have to think. We don't have to think about it. We just it gives us money. They take a bigger cut, but whatever. But then you don't know what the future of that platform is. You don't know if they could go bust and the whole thing could just disappear, or, like, maybe they'll just suddenly start changing the terms and conditions and doing some stuff that you don't like very much.
Well, it's like back when PayPal was doing a lot of really dodgy shit to do with freezing people's accounts who were in very disadvantaged situations.
Yeah.
And
but even the tone, it's like Patreon's website tone, the way they talk in community management, the way it's pretty, like, I don't like it. Like, it's just a bit twee and like, hey guys, you guys are the best, you're living your dreams. It's a bit like too Sunshine California bullshit, it's not really me, and that's fine. But it's like that weird thing of being like, I'm kind of aligned with this business and I'm kind of connected by the umbilical cord to this other business. And you kind of think, and you kind of have the thing of like, at worst case scenario, like I find Patreon's communications to be a bit annoying, but if at any point they became like intolerable for some reason, I'd be a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to.
I have no alternative here.
It's always best to just, I mean, it's a simple answer, but it's always just best to be in control of your own stuff as much as you can. Obviously, I mean, people, you guys know we care about that. It's the whole reason we've always gone out our way to not have sponsorship or advertising. It's just, you know, having complete control over what we do is the most important thing. So any way you can achieve that, just if you can, just do. But at the same time, it's like, it's kind of easy for now just to keep Cool Goes on Patreon. So for now, whatever. But that's it. It's a boring answer, really.
Hit me with this next one.
Okay. Simon Evans asks, is your bonsai tree still alive?
Sorry, what? Oh, question for me.
About bonsai trees.
My bonsai is still alive.
It was an easy one, though, wasn't it? It was like a beginner level bonsai. So it's not really that much of an achievement, is it?
It's still quite difficult to raise it. No, it's alive. It had a funny thing whereby I got callous because I have different interesting updates for you guys every time you ask about my bonsai. It's great. Just really find an excuse to post a picture on it. Of it. Next time I do a video review of my house.
Get on Instagram, man. Just all the time, every day. Bonsai life. Hashtag bonsai. Hashtag
I never use
trees.
hashtags. I should use hashtag small tree. Hashtag it's not a big tree from far away.
Hashtag not an oak.
Yeah, it's good. But when spring turned around, it was like sunny a while back, and it then grew all these leaves. So I went, whoa there, kids. I'm going to trim you back and start pruning you and shaping you. And then it stopped growing new branches, so now it just looks super skinny again. Oh. It's hard. There is a real art and craft to this that I'm learning.
Yeah, I'd be bad at it. I get carried away. I'm always like, I just cut off loads of things. Like I notoriously used to get given the job of like cutting back bushes and stuff in gardens, and I'd always end up like just going back and back and back. And it was like, oh my god, like, this is a skeleton. But luckily, most trees and stuff, bushes are hardy, so you can just have this sort of skeletal thing, and it will recover.
Rest assured, Simon, my bonsai's alive, and I will be continuing to work at it. But these things, like, don't. It's not like
it's like a hostage thing. Like it's still alive. I can't send you a photo now, but
send
like me the money.
Many real life negotiations, this shit takes years to get yourself the result you need. So
it'll probably die by accident during the process.
It's kind of like Duskers, where it's like nothing happens, I was dead.
Everybody's dead.
Hello, Mr. Carl Axelson. Thank you so much for donating. You are cool.
You're a nice man. Yeah, you always thank everyone. I always feel bad.
That's okay, because you remember names and I don't.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any interest in the upcoming? Hey, it's fun. Easy. Do you guys have any interest in the upcoming movie adaptations of video games like Warcraft or Assassin's Creed? Do you think the fail or success of these movies will have any impact on the games industry and game making?
The second part, no. And the first part, no.
But I just saw the Warcraft.
I did just see
burying the lead, buddy. Like,
but it's weird. Like,
what was the best bit?
The best bit was there was a bit where I've already said this on Twitter, but it's fantastic. There's a bit, right, where one of the wizards is kneeling down. There's a wizard kneeling down in a pool, and the pool starts changing color, and it looks a bit like he's done a wee in a paddling pool. And then there's another wizard standing on the edge, going, "Oh," as if to go, "What's happening?" But it looks like that perfect thing of a parent watching a toddler wee in a paddling pool and going, "Ah," and like knowing they have to do something and having that kind of frantic going, "Oh, I should really do something, but I don't know what to do. Oh god." And it made me laugh so much. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be like that.
Yeah, and you have kind of spoiled it now.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay, because Matt does often.
The thing
is,
movies,
Matt just spoils them.
Shut up, your face. It was all right. I mean, it's one of these things where actually
really it wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't. Everyone's been saying, "Oh, it's the worst film." I think if you actually like follow Warcraft and stuff, and like, well, not follow, but I used to play a lot of Warcraft. I played some of Warcraft 3.
Keen follower.
I remember some of the story.
Lore.
They did a really good job with the art direction of like being like, "Oh yeah, I vaguely remember this character. That's pretty cool. I remember him." And then also like more with the places, you're like, "Oh, I know this place." Like even in the background, you'd be like, it had a really strong sense of place. So when the characters were moving around, I think if you didn't know anything about Warcraft, it'd be like impossible to follow because it's just like character, location, constantly just going around all over the place. But as somebody used to like World of Warcraft, I haven't played it for like a decade, but you're like, oh yeah. It was actually like, it was weird. It wasn't really enjoyable, but it wasn't bad either. It was almost like, it was like like going on a long walk and just constantly like recognizing people, but then not stopping and having a really amazing conversation with anyone, just being like, yeah.
I mean, if you look at the comics industry for like the impact of movies, because comics more so in anything else, like there are movies and then you get optioned and you go from making no money to scads of money.
Yep.
As a creator. But then in terms of like what impact has that had on the comics industry, it's like, well, sometimes we now get new comic IPs that
are just aiming to be filmed.
Yeah, there's also an interesting thing, and I don't know if this quite ties in, but a friend of mine who learns a lot about the comics, who knows a lot about the comics industry, was saying that like I think it's DC are rebooting a lot of their lines like something like every 6 or 9 months. Like it's the new Punisher issue 1, and then after 9 months they'll be like it's the new Punisher again because issue 1s do really well. So like they're constantly changing the artist and the writer
because the new waves do well.
Because you're more likely to be optioned if it's like Young Avengers, it's new, it's sexy, it's Young Avengers, everyone's reading it. Let's make a Young Avengers movie. Then it's like Young Avengers issue 78. The Avengers are stuck in a toaster. Like that, it's easier to option the first.
How are they gonna get out of that?
I don't know, man. Don't
put the fork in the toaster to get them out, because that'd be a disaster.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I put forks in toasters all the time.
I do as well, but I do it very carefully.
I am not even careful.
And this is how one day both of us will die.
Imagine
at the same time.
Yeah.
It'd be like these websites have to end because both of them put a fork in a toaster. It's like it's not like butterfly. It's like the theory of like two atoms at any one point are spinning in the same way, like in sync, in different parts of the world.
This is why our Duskers playthrough is going to be awesome because rather than one of us like doing something dangerous and the other one going no, you'll just be like I'll open the door and creep a drone in, and I'll go yeah and then our audience will just lose their minds.
Yeah, it'll be fine. But I think basically like I generally find that movie adaptations of films aren't that interesting. I went along to Warcraft out of curiosity, mostly because Duncan Jones directed it. And actually, you could tell, to be fair, there was some good directing at times there. It was like a film that had some like directing talent behind it, but also had about 13 writers who were all demanding that the Warcraft lore remained exactly as it did.
The writing by committee thing is such unbelievable garbage. Like,
But the relationship between AAA video games and AAA movies, they are actually now more than ever like in sync in the fact that the Warcraft film was vaguely enjoyable because it had amazing CGI and sequences that were like, and that's what like action movies are, and that's what Marvel.
That's what Overwatch is.
That's what Overwatch is. What Destiny is. Like Destiny basically became like with the expansion, with the Taken King, Destiny became like the X-Men, and it's this weird thing of being like the crossover now is. These things are identical. It's all just superhero nonsense with big explosions. And
if I was like elderly, I would look at Overwatch and see no difference. Like Overwatch, the video game, and X-Men, the movie, and see basically no difference.
Yeah,
even in how people are consuming them.
So I think it's kind of just become an arm of it, and it's kind of weird. Obviously, we were talking actually in the Discord this morning about Ratchet and Clank and the way that was kind of a bit screwed by the fact that it was tying in with the Ratchet and Clank film, because it meant that the plot of the game felt very kind of airy and didn't really have any direction, and occasionally kind of it was one of these things of because it was trying to fit those two things together, it became worse. But
I still want to get it.
Mostly I just don't care. And
yes, I mean there are better things happening in movies. Just because you like video games and you like sometimes watching movies doesn't mean you want to watch video games.
It's like I went into Forbidden Planet in Manchester on the weekend, and it was weird because it was like, oh man, I used to come to this Forbidden Planet loads when I was about 15, 16. And the weird thing is I used to go to that Forbidden Planet and mostly never buy anything. I used to go and buy maybe
look around, right?
You look around, and maybe they had some role-playing books. Not a great selection. Usually go somewhere else for better role-playing books in Manchester. But they had some okay stuff. Used to get like Cyberpunk book or whatever. Mostly I'd go in and I'd be like, it's just toys and T-shirts and merch. And I never wanted that. But I still find it's exactly the same now. It's like so much toys and merch. And it's this weird like monoculture thing of being like, I love video games, so everything in my life has to be
well, even games. When you and I went to GDC and there was a cool party, That Party. It was literally called That Party. But they had a DJ and the first DJ.
Tune music.
And it's like, you just, because you guys like video games doesn't mean that the only music you can dance to is chiptunes. On the other hand, we were talking about this at GDC. The reason it was weird was because so many of those people were just letting loose and dancing in a way that like, you can imagine that if they just, it's like, oh my God, chiptunes, I can dance to this. I'm allowed to dance now. I'm never allowed to dance.
Yeah, which I guess,
was like a beautiful thing, but also you're looking at it going like, that's a shame that your horizons have been crimped.
Yes.
To that extent.
Or you feel they have been. Like often it's more in your head than anything else.
Well, right.
But
it's not the fault of them or the curators of the event, but it's just like, games can get like Kentucky Route Zero, right? Drawing musical inspiration from not just like from blues and the soul of America.
I love video games, but I find if you spend too much time in video games culture, and this idea of like just having everything being related to the things you love, it just becomes boring. I find I actually appreciate games more when I go and do other things. And actually, I find I've been playing games as part of my job for about a decade now, and I do go through increasing patches where I'm just bored and I play stuff and I'm like, this is boring, because you've played so many things that it's like things are too familiar. But I find that whenever I take a little break and go and like watch some TV series or read a book or watch some films and then come back, just freshens the head, gives you more perspectives. So video game movies, last thing I need in my life. Another one from Trick. Hello again, Trick. You going for the hat trick? No. Since Cool Ghosts and Shut Up and Sit Down have merged forums, any chance we'll see Paul on a Funwraith hangout? Or Lee or Brendan? Well, Paul is in a different country.
He's also not part of Cool Ghosts. We didn't anticipate this, did we? Because like we really were like smooshing like Shut Up and Sit Down and Cool Ghosts together, going kiss in an aggressive way. But then we're surprised when people are like, why isn't Paul on Cool Ghost? And it's like, well, because he does other freelance. This is our thing. But of course it makes sense for Paul and Lee to be on this.
Yeah, no,
but
I know.
Also it's not what we're doing.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's strange. It's there's a lot of crossovers in terms of how we approach the work and what we do, but also they are different.
I mean, the main thing with regards to Paul and Lee and Brendan, of all the people you've named there, is they're people who wouldn't necessarily want to be doing Cool Ghosts, because that Paul is doing he likes doing a lot of different freelance for a lot of different people. Lee is now transitioning away from games into just writing about tech and culture and is doing like extremely well for herself, and that's what she wants right now anyway. Brendan is in Costa Rica trying to write a novel, I would guess, and listening to thunderstorms and learning Spanish because that's what he wants. Matt and I are like the two ugly ducklings left behind who are still playing Zelda.
I think the crucial thing you said there is that's what they want. Everyone's doing what they want. And I think it's funny how everyone says, Cool shoves it down as this sort of vague group of people. Why is Cool Ghost not the same group of people? It's like the reason Cool Ghost even exists is just because Quinn's looked at what I was doing with the video game stuff, and aside from shoves it down, and he was like, I want to do some of that. And so we kind of forged this thing so that could happen. And I think that's the crucial thing, in the same way that like Paul wasn't happy in London and we were like, well, hang on, we've run shoves it down. Just go anywhere. And it's like he did what he wanted to do, which was leaving the UK. And it means, if he was still here, then maybe, he might have been also at this point, the same as Quinn, saying, oh, actually, I might like to do some of that. And he might have done, but it's not how it's panned out. And it's not like exclusionary at all. It's more just like a group of people who are just...
We're lucky enough to be free, and it just means...
And also, like, almost all those people, have the same thing and we just sort of have just over the years tried to support each other to do what you want to do. You don't always have to be like... It's that weird thing of like, you don't always have to be hanging around with the same group of people doing the same thing all the time. Sometimes it's better to actually have the respect, both professionally and as friends, to say to people, well, what do you want to do? Like, how can I help you do that? And sometimes the answer is, I want to go and do something else with different people for a while. And that's fine. Like,
if you look at like, while we do present this world of us being like this sitcom style small group of friends, the truth is more like, bands or directors or, people will have people they work close together with, and they work with other people, and they do other things, then they die from a drug overdose. And we've got all that going on. So,
but yeah.
Hello, Naylor Ben. Is that one name? Naylor Ben.
Ben. I think it's Ben Naylor.
Thank you so much for donating, Ben Naylor. If that's your name.
I think it's the second question from Ben.
We did not read that name out before.
We definitely did.
For fuck's sake.
You've got no memory. It's amazing.
It's a genuine disability. He says, hello. It is. I can't remember names. And
really?
Lee used to make fun of me for it. And then on a couple of occasions, it's been so bad that she's like, oh, this is like,
oh, wow.
You have a real problem.
Fair enough.
But it's one of those things like ADD where it's like, we're just starting to sort of, there are loads of stuff we put names to, or that we don't at this point in human history.
Yeah. Well, the part of the brains the in terms of names of things and what they do and what they are actually different sides of the brain, and that's often like a big thing in terms of when people have like a problem with colossus or something. I've forgotten all the names of psychology, but the bit that connects your two halves of the brain, that's often one of the ways you can work out when people have a problem with that bit, because it's like you can basically say to somebody, what's this? And show them a hammer, and they go, oh, you use it for like bashing in nails and all this stuff. And they go, what's it called? They're like, or like same thing, you can be like, what's this? They go, it's a hammer. And they go, what's it for? And they're like, it's this wonderful kind of disparity between actual names and meanings. And I'm actually quite bad at remembering names and stuff, but I always think it doesn't matter. Like, it's more important to understand how something works than what it is, you know?
I understand how Naylor Ben works.
Yeah?
Yeah, he likes to ask cool questions. Like, I used to call games computer games. Then at some point, everyone agreed we should call them video games. What happened?
Video
games is a cooler term.
Well, consoles became really popular before that. It used to be computer games because you played them on a computer. And then consoles became a thing.
And then consoles
on your video.
Consoles were much cooler because they had marketing departments saying that they were cooler.
Video games.
So then the word video games became cooler. A more interesting question is not a more interesting question, is whether we should put a space in the middle of video games or not. Which even Games website can't agree on.
I do not give a fuck about that. I always see people saying video games is 2 words.
Have you not read the style guide I wrote for Cool Ghosts? It's only 18 pages long.
I'll tell you a secret. I don't read style guides. Whenever I do freelance, I just write what I want to write, how I want to write it. And
when I write for Rock Paper
most
Shotgun,
of the time, people don't change it. Like, people might like add a bit of addendum if I haven't explained something clearly enough, but people don't tend to edit my work that much.
I'm glad you talked over me there, because I was going to say something unprofessional.
Okay, fine.
Paul Cosgrove asks, what are your favorite comics? Lots of questions about books, but I want the pretty pictures. Like everyone else, I am loving Saga right now. It's the first comic book that I've actually subscribed to and I'm digging. And then it's the annoying thing if you read Saga. It reminds me of when I've read Alan Moore's stuff when I was a teenager, where you get introduced to that and then you go, oh, what's next? And they go, this. And you go, this isn't as good. And they go, well, no.
Yeah.
There's nothing as good. And then everything is downhill from there.
I think I read some of the Marvel Civil War from like years ago. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And then people are like, oh, what else is good in this? And they're like, that's like in this area, this is the best thing in a while.
I really liked Rat Queens, but that seems to have struggled. There was what was it? It's beautifully drawn sort of D&D comic with like an all-girl group that's very like modern, and it's really funny, really. But then the initial artist, who was incredible, I think turned out to be like hitting his wife or something. And so he left because, I mean, a feminist comic anyway, right? And then they just had a succession of artists who
didn't work.
Weren't.
Yeah.
So that is a shame. But Rat Queens is good initially. Saga's good. Obviously, I like Watchmen and all Alan Moore's oeuvre. I also really like The Invisibles.
Alan Moore's egg.
Is that even pronounced that right?
You probably pronounced
Alan
it right.
Moore's oof.
I just like the idea of pretending I think oeuvre means egg. I might start doing that more often.
Do you know why the French people only have one egg?
Because one egg is an oeuvre.
Yeah, I like what was I even saying? Yeah, The Invisibles. It's good. Transmetropolitan, obviously. I'm just all the classics. I'm not very interested about comics. Don't ask me about comics.
I don't read any, so I'm less interested. I know they're good though, but I just tend to, if I want to look at pictures, I just watch something shit on Netflix. I'm kind of gutted that Daredevil's ended now, because I used to just watch a lot of Daredevil in the bath.
You should watch Utopia.
Yeah, it's too much, man.
Oh,
you watched the first episode, and it was just too.
How about the grading on that show?
Yeah, they really go to town on the grading. It's lovely, but it was just too much when they were like taking a guy's eyes out with spoons and stuff. I was like,
spoilers. I'm gonna call you up on this forever.
Yeah, fair.
But no, that is the most intense scene in all Utopia, and it's all like that's the only over the top scene. But actually, everything from beyond that is just incredible TV. But it is also the only TV that Lee and I have watched going like. Because, since no TV has come close to making us so nervous.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just felt like it was like from the first episode, I felt like it was style over substance. I felt like that it was incredibly fucking stylish, but then it just felt like it was really going out of its way to be like trying to make me uncomfortable in a way which was like just felt a bit cheap and not actually very nuanced. I just felt like it was like really trying to just be like, we're going to mess you up.
If you had watched the whole show, we could talk about it.
Yeah, I know. But maybe I'll go back and watch some more of it. But I've got a lot of things on my list that I want to watch.
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, he talks about that. I still not seen The Sopranos and all sorts of things.
You don't need to watch The Sopranos. You need to watch Friday Night Lights.
Why not? Why not?
Because Sopranos invented a load. It was like the forerunner of like really good TV that we are enjoying now, right? And so it invented all this like fantastic stuff. But then you go back and watch it, and you're like, this was more important at the time. Yeah, it's not bad, but like
I thought it's still really good.
Well,
So-
why don't you watch some similarly really good stuff that came out recently, like Friday Night Lights?
Maybe I don't want to.
Can we? That wasn't really answer the question. I thought you actually clicked it there.
I was gonna.
Gustav Linda asks, "Can we see Quinn's cool ghost style guide and spoiler policy?" Yes,
I'd love to see your spoiler policy.
my-
'Cause I swear, a man having his eyes taken out is not the same as talking about the entire character arc for the main character in a story. So there
That's
we
not
go.
the main arc. It's about a third of the way in.
It's probably the most important thing. But yeah.
You can figure out. Like,
Yeah. Anyway, Trick Dempsey, it's the hat trick, and I think he's going to go for 4 in a minute. I can see he's.
Is there a
rising
name
up
for
the charts
4
here.
after hat trick? Hat trick plus 1.
Turkey.
Hat trick
No,
plus.
that's 3 strikes, isn't it?
Is there a tabletop RPG that you regularly gather with friends to play? Campaigns are difficult to organize. What grabs you and your friends week after week?
Well, it's funny. We actually just recorded the Shut Up, Sit Down podcast yesterday.
Yes, it will be going up
So many podcasts
next week.
Yeah.
Was it the first one or the second one we did?
I don't know.
Okay.
But we recorded a couple of podcasts for Shut Up, Sit Down because it's easier because Paul has a different clock to us because he lives in Canada land. But we were talking about Torchbearer quite a bit.
Yeah, Matt and I are playing an actual full Torchbearer campaign about once every year and a half or 2 years, like a really shit broken menstrual cycle. I go, I want to GM something, and I run a campaign, and I get a group of friends. I really kind of handpick the friends and really handpick the system.
It's hard when you're our age, I think. Like, I mean, even we found like I'm now like, because I've got, it's wedding season for me this year in terms of going to like stags and weddings and stuff. It's like I'm now like the whole of June, like all of my weekends are wiped out.
I pretty much,
which happens.
I
like,
shoot
it's just,
for like 8 or 10 sessions,
Yeah.
and then I usually pack them in over like 3 or 4 months, and then
Yeah.
I can be like, I'm done. I've never, since I've become an adult, I've never not finished a campaign.
No, but it's good. It's kind of like it adds something to it. It means like everybody who's involved in it has to becomes more invested.
Yeah, I
You
only
really wanna
again
do it.
I only start RPG sessions if it's like, okay, guys, we're just doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want to talk about Torchbearer now because
gonna
there's
say.
an entire Shut Up and Sit Down podcast, and we've got Hilary McNaughton's review of Torchbearer going up. Loads of Torchbearer content. If you would like, you know what I heard that's super cool. What? As far as tabletop RPGs go. So the One Ring is, I think, the name of the new Lord of the Rings setting, and it's a beautiful box, beautiful map, apparently quite good rules. But the shtick in that is awesome because it is, you're all a group of adventurers, 4 of you, right? Whatever. There's the dwarf, the elf, the magician. And every session, you play it, you finish it, you're done. And when you come back for the next session, 1 year has passed.
That's cool.
And that means that over 10 years, like over 10 sessions, your characters have gone from being 20 to 30 or 30 to 40. Or you can elongate it. So you actually just, you grow old, and you have to know what your character did in that year. And even if you play it for long enough, you start playing your kids.
That's very interesting.
It's super neat. It's kind of loosely ripped off of an RPG called Pendragon, which did that, but more so. But in terms of a new modern thing, it's neat. Like, you have all the time to recover, and it's like, oh, well, we meet again. And I'm still angry of what you did a year ago.
That's interesting because we have the thing I was talk about on the podcast of being like, what's my character doing this week? Like, yeah.
And it's still thought provoking.
We'll talk about stuff. If you're interested in Torchbearer, which you should be, it's fucking cool.
Check out the Shut Up and
Then,
Sit Down podcast.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the podcast because we did talk about that quite a lot. It's funny, people are asking us questions that we've just answered on a podcast, which is good. It means our podcasts are probably doing the job that they're supposed to be doing.
What, actually providing the content that people...
The questions that people have in their minds already.
Nick Case says, I'm going on holiday next month. What 4 books? 2 each. Would you take on holiday for 2 weeks?
Okay, Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, I think is
It's a fine book.
Classic. It's a big favorite of mine. Either, or if you really want something sci-fi, straight sci-fi, Oryx and Crake. If you're open to something a little bit sci-fi, but also a little bit like more meandering and character-based, The Blind Assassin is probably Margaret Atwood's best book. I love that book. Also, I always recommend Ian M. Banks stuff.
Ian M. Banks stuff is awesome, man.
I think lots of people say that, like, obviously, like, use of weapons is widely regarded as being probably the best. I think play of games is essential for anyone who's interested in games. But I also think lots of people who are like Ian M. Banks purists will say that consider Fleabus is a bit too schlocky and actiony. But I think it's a great introduction to the series because it's quite readable in the fact that it has, like, it'll talk about, missiles going into a different place in space so they can curve around the sun and then come back into real space. But they'll also have a really good description of like some people having a fight on a hovercraft or something, and it's awesome. Are you looking up what your books are?
Yeah, no, I was going to look up my Goodreads account, and then that is not me.
That's not you. He's got a hat.
There's no, I can't know.
Apparently, you want to read Piano Lessons Could Be Murder, which is a
Goosebumps number 13.
R.L. Stein.
I used to love Goosebumps.
I did as well, man. Yeah, fuck it. Just take 4 Goosebumps.
Yeah.
They're very quick. They're very easy.
They are. Or Point Horror.
I remember Point Horror.
If you'd like to take it up a notch.
Oh, man. You felt naughty reading them. They were a bit saucy.
And you read Stephen King, and then they're about rape.
Yeah.
And then you stop reading horror books.
Have a break
when you're 15. What am I reading? I have been tweeting about this a lot, but I'm reading Dune now, which it turns out is a great sci-fi novel. Who knew? But super relevant now that everyone's enjoying Game of Thrones, because it does a lot of Game of Thrones stuff, but better, I think. What am I? I mean, I would, if I'm going on holiday, I'm taking the books I'm reading right now, right? I'm reading hang on, let me get the exact title.
If you're going on holiday for 2 weeks, you want a big book, but obviously just get them on Kindle. I'd really recommend The Blind Assassin. It's one of my favorite books. I'm not a big reader, to be honest. I should read more often.
You don't. Books are bollocks, mate.
Bollocks.
They've reversed the writing. That's
My Year.
My Year of Meats by Ruth Ozeki, which I picked up and I'm loving because there's a quote from Juno Diaz on the front, and I like him. And then it turns out this book's great. It's about a Japanese-American woman who is working with a documentary crew to make documentaries about beef in America, and but really it's about the different. I can't make this sound interesting. The book's good, very fun. I'm eating it up like a big piece of beef.
Yeah, but you're not, because you've gone off beef probably from reading that book, which is fair though, because it is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hugely environmentally bad. Austin Minor. This is the question.
Hello, Austin. Thank you for donating.
Thank you, Austin.
You're a king.
Have you ever played any rhythm games?
No.
No, never.
What's the best rhythm game? Obviously, we're joking.
The best rhythm game on the market.
I still love Crypt of the Necrodancer to pieces.
I found I liked that, but it was too much. It was too complicated. Like, I like a rhythm game to like just get into the zone where you can just stop thinking and just enjoy the rhythm. Whereas a Necrodancer, it's good. It's still a great game, but it's too hard. It's like trying to think strategies whilst also like keeping to the rhythm. It's just like it's trying to pat your head and rub your tummy.
What's that DS and 3DS, mostly DS rhythm series? Tengoku Rhythm Master.
Yeah.
Those are great. They are funny, but some of them are better than others.
Something Brothers, wasn't there? Like something. I've forgotten.
What? You've done the thing where you've said, because of the way you phrased that. Now
Beat
I
Brothers
can't.
Or something.
Elite Beat Agents.
Elite Beat Agents.
That was fine.
That was fun as well. There was a bunch of like I kind of enjoy those ones where it's like tells a stupid story.
I mean, I should mention that getting a dance mat for my PSX when I was 14, 13 was the first step on my road from being chubby to becoming a skeleton and then eventually finding a proper weight and being the man I am today. But yeah, getting a dance mat and doing like the fucking DDR shit, which I'm still inexplicably good at today. I'm not elegant, but I get high scores, right?
That's all that
I'm
matters.
like a weird paralyzed elephant sort of wobbling, and then I do this for about 3 minutes, and then it says,
you play.
It says perfect.
You just jitter around, and that's how you get the big scores.
Yeah.
I was always rubbish at it. I really used to love. I think my favorite remained playing the drums on Rock Band, and I still miss.
Oh, it's a good answer.
I really miss that because Rock Band was great in the fact that like it was kind of Guitar Hero always became about that solo perfection. It was always very about the guitar, and they got it right. You know, that's kind of like what people want in terms of being a guitarist, but not entirely. You know, I always found when I was at university there were two types of people who play guitar: people who just wanted to like play guitar so they could play songs, and people who wanted to go, I think the guitarist in that band actually isn't that good, and then go and show you that. People who want the technical proficiency, and Guitar Hero kind of really aspired to that idea of like the technical solo, and it wasn't obviously as difficult as playing guitar, but it was still like complex. Whereas Rock Band as a game was more about just like it being easy enough that you could just look around the room and get the feel, that kind of like warmth, that heart of looking around the room, being like, yeah, we're making music together.
You know what I can think of now? I mean, you're not wrong in anything you're saying, but like, I just keep thinking that Rock Band is going to be one of those things that's one of those like, you know, the TV programs that are like, do you remember the noughties, eh?
Yeah, maybe.
Drinking Bacardi Breezes and playing Rock Band.
But I think Guitar Hero.
There were little plastic instruments. Do you remember? You'd have a guitar be this big and you'd be like, no, 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 no. Whatever happened to Rock Band, eh?
Oh man, but I used to love the singing as well, because you could actually tweak it so that you could just hear you. If you were confident enough that you could sing this song well, you could turn it so the mic was 100% and the actual track was 0, and you were just like, no, I can sing this. I can sing this. Like, and that was awesome. But the drums, what I loved was actually it was like playing a real drum kit. And I remember when you start to get to harder levels, it was things of like having like different beats with your legs to your hands and actually like getting in doing 2 rhythms at once. And I learned to do it. And it was like an amazing workout as well. Like, if you just drum for like half an hour, I keep being tempted to just buy an electric drum kit. But I just haven't,
Paul
got room for it.
Paul drums.
Does he?
Yeah.
I've always loved it. And I had a great moment when I was at a party once when I saw somebody had a drum kit and I was like, I don't want to be that tosser, but can I just have a quick go on your drum kit? And I was like, look, no, I know, right? But I've been playing so much Rock Band, I just want to see.
And then you started playing and everyone at the party went, who's that guy?
Everyone took their shirts off. Yeah. Just started spraying champagne everywhere. No, but I only went on it for like a minute. But it was one of those things where obviously the kickback was different on drums because it just is. Mm-hmm. But I could do it. And it was like, oh man, like I've actually learned to play drums. Probably forgotten it now, but it also gave me an understanding. I listened to music in the way of like hearing the beats. I learn a bit of guitar and then you listen to music and you're like, oh man, that guitar's lovely. I get that with drums now. I'm like, oh, that's an awesome beat. How are they doing that?
Yeah. I don't know if my investment of time and money into learning, like being shit at guitar for like a year was worth the small improvement in me listening to music. I'd probably like that year back.
Yeah, I love listening to music. I love that as I get older, I understand more and more of it. Oh, I love music so much.
Let's do one more, then I got to bounce like a hot tomato. Okay.
Eric Toneblad.
You click on the thing. Hello, Eric. Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Thanks for everything. Quinns, you seem to have a lot of love for horror. What's your favorite horror story, irregardless of medium?
You know, there was one that had a really big effect on me. I got 2 answers. One of which is not my answer. It's a cop-out because I have been trying to find it as an adult. It's a really old story from Victorian times. It's like called The Girl in the Yellow Wallpaper. It's this marvelously creepy shit where a woman is basically hospitalized in that very Victorian way of like, oh, you've exerted yourself too much and you just need to lie in bed for 2 weeks. And she just starts seeing it's written from a diary. It's an unreliable narrator type shit, and she starts talking about the girl who lives in the yellow wallpaper of her room. And it's just because I think I'm scared of prisons anyway. The idea of being stuck in bed in a room with hideous yellow wallpaper that starts to look quite nice, then you start to see shapes in it, and the shapes come out and talk to you, and it's like. But I saw a thing last night that took the top of my head off called Creep. It's a movie called Creep. It came out in 2015, and you and I could have made it. It is astonishingly cheap. Like. Yeah, I was watching the whole movie going, oh, did they really just do it with 2 people? And the credits rolled, and like every time it comes up, it's the same fucking 2 names. And I'm like, ah! The plot of the movie is you're a videographer and you answer a Craigslist ad for a man who says, I'll offer you $1,000 just to film me for a day. And that's the plot of the movie. And the movie is only ever just one guy holding the camera, filming another guy. And that's the movie, and it is so awful and scary and bad. And they made it for like 300 quid, and it's like, ah.
Well, I've always enjoyed making comedy, and making horror is very similar. So maybe at some point we can make a little horror short movie. I've made a horror short movie before; it wasn't very good, but I can make a much better one now. Scaring people is the same as making people laugh. It's just understanding how people are wired and fucking with it. In a way which is just great, of just being like, it's all the same.
Imagine if like at the end
it's exactly the same. It's like you have the preparation, then you have the build up, and then you have the subversion.
Maybe the reason we called it Cool Ghosts is we'll end the channel by doing like an actual Cool Ghosts horror short.
Yeah. Or maybe we'll just pretend that we've both died. Yeah.
That sounds less fun.
Yeah, but Lee was much more satisfying.
Lee was telling this to me last night, like, because I was getting so freaked out at Creep, and I've thought about horror so much, and I'm always like doing this shit. She's like, you should write a screenplay thing, and you could do it. And then I'm like, I would love to, but I don't have time right now. Yeah. But hey, for a small next project.
Yeah, that's the thing. Actually, there was a question down here. I just saw, just slide down, saying, "We'll answer this. What are you currently working on outside Cool Ghosts and Shut 'Em Down?" That's the thing. Time is an issue. Uh, at the moment, actually, I've pretty much like cut back most of all the freelance I was doing before. I wrote something very small for Kotaku this week, and that's about it. I've done a tiny bit of voiceover for a project which I want to help out with, because it was about promoting understanding about copyright law in the EU and copyright reformations, and in terms of like putting copyright law more in the hands of creators more rather than companies, which was just something which was a small job, which was something I was like, yeah, like I believe in this anyway, so I'll do this. But generally speaking, like it's kind of like it's difficult. Like I obviously record regular features and do Cool Ghosts and do Shut Up and Sit Down as well, and that's like we do obviously 2 weekly podcasts. I do. It means you just don't have room in your life for anything, and it becomes quite sad because you think, well, there are more things I'd like to do. You'd like to write a fucking short horror film. I'd like to learn to make video games properly or something, and or like learn to drum. And you realize you can't. You get to something where you're like, my life's full, and you have to stop doing something.
I feel like they're playing the smallest violin for us because most people have a 9 to 5, right?
Absolutely,
and that's yeah, it would be nice.
It's funny. Most people do have a 9 to 5, but at the same time, it's 11 o'clock, and it's not unusual that I'm working till 11 at night sometimes.
Oh no, sure, we have
different lifestyles, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous that like I am. It's so funny that you build Shut Up and Sit Down, or we're building Cool Ghosts, and then now they're like both running smoothly, and this is like we're in the coalface now. Like we run them,
yeah,
which is what we wanted, but it's also like there is part of me that is going like,
yeah,
eventually these things will end, or I won't be working on them anymore, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
because I get to do something else.
Absolutely, and I completely feel that, and I think it's funny. I think a website called The Toast, maybe.
Oh yeah, just started showing.
Yeah, they started shutting down. It was amazing how they were like shut down because they were like, yeah, we just had a conversation and we just sort of were like, oh, because they've been really struggling to keep it going for ages, and then they had just both said, why don't we just stop? And they both just immediately went, and actually found themselves. I mean, that was kind of sad because obviously the great side really struggled to kind of keep it going, but there's a lot of truth to that as well. I think it's always really exciting when you're getting something going, but once you've actually got the train going and you just have to keep it going, it's like, oh man, like this is just endless work.
But I mean, that's what.
But it's great fun. It's great fun, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't want to. But in the future, don't be surprised if we all just suddenly stop.
Oh God, it won't be happening soon, everybody. Please keep tuning us. I zoned out reading Trick Dempsey's question about porn, but that will have to wait until the next hangout. Yeah.
I don't think it was porn. It was about VR, wasn't it? You just read about porn.
Oh, I read Breaking Point as
You're
breaking
a
porn.
Bad man.
And then I run away, in a cartoonish fashion that causes the chair to spin.
You did. That was good. That was genuinely good. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. We genuinely appreciate you in multiple ways. He's got his coat on. He's going, bye.